Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to a Friday edition of Weather Weenies that will carry you through the weekend on News Center Maine Plus. Ryan Breton, Dana Osgood with you.
Hello.
And it's going to be an interesting weekend of weather. And I say that because this week we haven't had a ton of sunshine.
No, we had some sunshine today, but I feel like I want more.
And Saturday will give you that.
So excited for that.
But then if you want some winter, you can stay up really late Saturday night and you might see it in some places.
Yeah, I've been calling it a little bit of like a weekend with something for everyone.
Yeah.
Because we have sun, we have rain, we have snow. I guess the only thing we don't have is heat.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I think that we have definitively turned the heat switch off. I mean, like...
The heat switch on?
No, I just mean like... We're all done with like...
I thought you meant like in your house. We've all turned the heat on.
No, I mean like, you know, there was some thought in October, early-ish November. Maybe we're going to pop to like another 65 or 70. And I think those days are over at this point.
We've kept having these months of like consistently below average temps. Right. Like we did that in August. And this November feels like the winter version of August.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started with the weather map on Friday afternoon. Some clouds did bubble up today. These will all be diminishing tonight.
Yeah, we did have some sun. We called it like a partly sunny day. And I think
that's pretty much how it played out. This mouse over here is really having
so I had that issue on Prime at 9 the past 2 nights. I meant to file a ticket about that to engineering. Our engineering people will come and fix things that we need help with, like the time when I locked my own drawer by accident.
This is really funny. It's like barely moving. Good thing is I have everything lined up. So once we get to where we need to go.
Wait, if you open one graphic, then you can use the arrow keys.
Like this? Ooh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So
love the computer, you know.
Saturday is fairly straightforward. Sunny.
Yeah.
Temperatures similar to where they've been.
You could not keep me inside.
I was thinking Saturday. The same thing. And obviously our daylight now is pretty small.
Yeah, you will get me inside by 4 p.m.
Yeah, actually it'll be 3:30 because that's when the Penn State game starts.
True. I also have to go to work.
You do have to go to work. But yeah, your Saturday's fine. And then we'll jump ahead. When Dana was here the other day, we're talking about the European and the GFS and how they were different handling this Saturday night Sunday event. Now they both kind of look the same. They fly it through southern Maine, but in northern Maine it does hang on into Sunday night and maybe even a little bit Monday morning with some snow showers.
And that we talked about a little earlier this week would enhance some of our snow totals. So that's why it was a bigger question mark there. Sometimes, like for example, with rain showers, we're like, well, like they'll linger in a little bit, but with snow, it can make a big difference of how much snow you end up seeing. So that's why we were trying to really nail that down.
Right, exactly. Advisories, we were just chatting. You can make an argument the winter weather advisory here should be extended up to Greenville.
If you fill in the gap.
As of Friday afternoon.
And then a winter storm watch for northern Maine there. You can tell a little bit because there are actually 2 National Weather Service offices that cover Maine. Western Maine and New Hampshire is NWS Gray, and eastern and northern Maine is NWS Caribou. So sometimes if you notice there's like slightly different things within the state, it will usually follow that demarcation of where the offices switch over.
And this time I actually see it in a way keeping them in a watch just because.
Yes, I agree.
You know, the bulk of their accumulation is still 48 plus hours out. As of the time we're recording this Friday afternoon.
And usually it's like the winter storm watch will flip into a winter storm warning, where a winter weather advisory is sort of a separate thing.
Exactly. So let's show you a closer timeline. Again, Saturday's fine. If you're going to be out Saturday evening, there could be a couple of flakes or drops that develop around 8 or 9 o'clock, but it's really more like 10, 11, midnight.
Yeah, that's when the heavier precip moves in.
And there may even be a burst of snow at the beginning, not far from Portland, maybe like Gorham, Windham, up to maybe even Brunswick briefly.
Yeah, because so we've been watching this system go from trending colder to trending warmer back to trending colder again. I still think though, like immediate coastline, like maybe some flakes, but mostly rain.
Yeah, it's going to be
95% rain.
And you can tell from the arrows there, the wind arrows, that's going to flood the coastal plain with warm air.
And we talked about that actually at Prime at 9 last night, that the water temperature being 50 degrees, winds coming off the water, that's why it pushes that rain-snow line in farther.
Yeah, and by 2 in the morning on Sunday, we're already turning over to rain in Lewiston and Augusta and Freiburg.
Yeah.
And then that trend will continue north from there. This is on the real fast side, that it ends the precipitation in southern Maine around 4 a.m.
I think it'll be closer to like 6.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking too. This is the newest run that came in. But then you can still, I imagine, as we look at this together for the first time, because it's a new run, see how Sunday's weather is going to be very different if you're in northern Maine versus southern Maine.
Yeah, a bit of a split state forecast there.
Yeah, southern Maine, you might get some breaks of sun. It's largely dry. There could be a passing shower.
Mm-hmm.
But in northern Maine, we're still going to have snow that falls off and on much of the day on Sunday, and some rain that lingers in down east Maine. So.
Yeah, and some of that might linger, kind of as we said earlier, into a good chunk of Sunday.
Right. But for the rest of us, most of your Sunday you get in fine. And then we play this into Monday. There may be some kind of backlash, light snows that fall up north in the morning. And for the rest of us on Monday, it's just kind of a chilly day.
A little breezy.
Yeah, breezy with maybe a flurry around.
Yeah. So I would say I'm hesitant to say that it's our first like big storm. Usually we talked about yesterday when we pull out the snowfall map for the first time, it is for that first bigger storm, but to kind of ease us into winter, it's not something that's going to be too intense or too troublesome.
Agreed. And almost everywhere south of Route 2, I put Route 2 on here on the map because it's actually a really good demarcation line, even though it's a state highway.
Yeah.
But a lot of times these and actually it's a national highway. A lot of times
I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah. A lot of times these highways are built on elevation differences.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Route 2 is kind of the north side of it, it's the mountains. The south side of it, it's the foothills. And it often just happens to correlate with where there can be changes in our weather.
I feel like we talk about Route 2 a lot during the winter as, like a good way to say more snow over here versus less snow or some mixing over here.
Exactly. And a lot of people, even in that 1 to 3 range, it may be kind of washed away or compacted down after you see a change over to rain or maybe even a little freezing drizzle.
A little
Sunday
crust
morning
on top of the snow in some spots.
Yeah, and certainly in the white area, up to an inch, which includes Lewiston, Augusta, Waterville, Bangor. As you saw in that model, that change to rain will happen there.
Yeah, and overnight. So, overnight, that's where you're going to see some of those precip changes. And in southern Maine, if you wake up a little bit later, perhaps you might miss the precip entirely.
Yeah, say you live in Lewiston. If you sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you will miss all of the snow.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the time you wake up, maybe there's just a little evidence that it did snow.
Yeah. So if it gets washed away, don't tell us we were wrong. It was there.
Exactly. And then behind this system, this is Monday morning. We talked about how the snow kind of lingers up north.
Yeah.
Next week, it looks like we kind of just repeat the temperatures we had this week.
It's going to be very consistent and consistently chilly.
Right. And almost one of those forecasts where...
Be careful with that mouse. I'm watching you try to use it.
There we go. The arrow key worked. There's just not a lot of variation. It's like low 40s just about every day and most nights.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this 7-day forecast, you have 40, 40, 40, 40, 42, 42, 44.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen a 7-day that has that many of the same number on it.
Yeah, let's see the coast. I think a little bit more.
A little more variation. Only even numbers I see, though.
I follow that method here. We've talked about it.
It's a Todd Gutner thing.
Yeah, Todd Gutner got that in my head 8 years ago, where on our 7 days he uses, generally speaking, even numbers or ones that end with 5. The reason for that is he does it because it looks a little bit more pleasing. Apparently, there was some scientific research when he worked in Boston about that. The reason why I'm okay with it is we don't verify these forecasts at a point.
Yes.
It's not like I'm forecasting or you're forecasting for Portland Jetport to nail the high temperature by a degree.
Exactly, which point forecasting, which some people do, can be extremely difficult.
Right. So I tend to do it because it helps me distinguish between inland and the coast. I'll usually have, they're either going to be the same or they're going to be a 2-degree difference or more.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a mental thing when I'm forecasting.
It's funny that the two of you do that, because if I'm forecasting and I decided on a number, that's the number.
Yeah.
If it's 39, I'm like 39.
Well, and also now that I'm coming in after him, I'm just trying to keep it somewhat consistent too.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Unless I usually will look at what he has, look at the new data, and decide what to do.
So if you see an odd number in there,
or maybe I've gone off the rails once in
a while.
Day.
Oh no, a 41.
Right.
That's funny.
Check in with Christian on Saturday morning, Dana Saturday night.
Yep.
I think you have all your shows on Saturday, right?
I believe so.
Cool.
If not, if you happen to notice a sporting event that looks like it's going to run long, you can find us on News Center Maine Plus. We'll have a streaming show there for you.
Awesome. Well, have a good weekend.
Bye.